All right, how's it going? So here's the video. Sorry about that. Here's the video to do Lasso 3 using photopea. So the idea behind this project is basically we're going to make what we call a photo collage, in a sense, right? So we're going to Photoshop a photo here, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to take this picture of Max here, Mrs. Toft's dog, and we're going to cut Max out. And we're going to put him on the surfboard here, so it'll look like Max is surfing. Of course, to do that, we'll have to get rid of this surfer here, so we'll talk about some new tools that we can use to eliminate the surfer. So before we start, we need to definitely download both these photos so we can use them. Remember, you need to click on the download image button. Don't right-click and save, because if you do that, you won't get the full quality, so you want to make sure you click download image. And I'm going to put them in a separate folder so I can find them. What is this, Lasso 3? So 3. And I'll go ahead and hit save on that one. And then click on the photo here of Surfer and download that image. You'll notice I also did add kind of a sample of what the project will look like when you're done. So we took these two photos and combined them together into this one photo, all right? So now I got them both downloaded. I'm going to go ahead and hop over to photopea. And I'm going to go ahead and open up the first photo. So let's open up the photo of Max first. So Max in the wheelbarrow. Open him up there. All right, the first thing we need to do is go ahead and cut out Max. So we'll use our selection tools like we've been doing. So we'll go ahead and use, I'm going to use the magnetic lasso tool. And we'll see how we do here in photopea. It's a little bit not as used to cutting it out here, but go ahead and make a selection the best I can. Ooh, there it goes. Now remember, if I get off track at all, right, because I'm trying to squeeze that thing over there, I just hit the backspace key. That eliminates points that I don't want, and I can always manually click and create a point if I want it to, if it's not sticking right where I want it to. So sometimes it helps when you get into crevices and the program's not detecting that you want to stick right there, to go ahead and, just give a one button click and it will attach to that spot. See, like right there, his foot, it wasn't attaching, so I'm going to go ahead and give it a click there. It just kind of helps it out a little bit. I didn't like the way it went around the foot there, so again, I'll go ahead and click. There we go. Click. It's still not great, but it's okay. We're going to come back and fix that here in a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and cut them out here. This is kind of a quick selection. So it's not perfect, but that's okay, because we're going to talk about how to modify it here in a second. I make it back to the beginning. There we go. So once I get back to the beginning, right, and click, I get those dancing ants there. So I know that we've made a selection. Now, as we talked about last time, we can go in here and modify the selection. I think we talked about that in Lasso 2. So if you notice, right, I got in between his paw here, I still have quite a bit of the wheelbarrow that I don't want. So I'll zoom in maybe a little bit right there, and go ahead and continue with the magnetic lasso select tool, but I'm going to hold down the Alt key, Shift key. Oh, it doesn't tell me. Oh, I'm on the wrong tool. Anyways, what happened there? I want magnetic lasso. Unite, subtract. So I think if we hold down, if I hold down the Alt key, that's the way it works in Photoshop, I should be subtracting from the selection. No, it's making a straight line. Okay, so it works differently. How about the Shift key? What does the Shift key do? All right, so holding down the Shift key, let's see what happens with the Shift key. If it subtracts or if it adds. It did nothing. All right, so for some reason, photopea works a little bit differently. So we're going to go ahead and go over here and select the subtract option here. So there's an add, they call it Unite So that's add to, and then this is called subtract. So apparently they don't have shortcut keys for it. So I'll just go ahead and switch it to subtract mode. And then I'll go ahead and click in here, and we'll subtract this area between his legs here that we don't want. There we go. And let's see, where else? So there's some other spots that we want to subtract from too. Looks like right here I got sunlight. Ooh. Sunlight got a little, so I just messed up there, so I hit Control Z to get my selection back. So let's see if I can, yeah. So I'll subtract from there. Just using the regular lasso too, the sunlight kind of got too much, so I'm just going to kind of make some loops there, subtract that. Let's see what else do I want to subtract here. Here and between his legs there, I got a little bit too much of the ground. All right, and then it looks like I missed this paw back here, so I'm going to add to that. So again, unite is what I want to do there because I'm going to add to the selection. And in photopea, it looks like they call it unite. So I'll go back to my magnetic lasso tool, choose unite, and go ahead and make the selection here. So it's not quite as smooth as it is in Photoshop, but it's working, right? All right, so now I got my selection. Now remember, I want to cut everything out except for Max, so I'm going to go up to Select and choose Select Inverse. So everything other than Max is selected. Photopea, we don't need to unlock our background because it allows us to do it by default, so I'll go ahead and hit Delete. Oh wait, I don't want to delete yet. I want to add a little bit of feather to him, so I am going to go up to Select and go down to Modify and go to Feather. And let's go ahead and give him a 5 pixel feather. So there's just a little bit of softness around him when we cut him out. So go ahead and hit OK. And now we'll delete him. And it looks good. All right, so now I want to go ahead and deselect him. So select, deselect. And if I go back to the Move tool, I can, as long as I don't grab right there, I can grab him and move him around, right? So we got Max by himself. So now we need to bring in the surfer. So I'm going to go ahead and go File, Open and Place. And bring in our surfer. I'm going to place him in here. And I'm going to go ahead and blow him up so he fills up this image here. Of course, I don't want him to distort. So I'm going to hold down the Shift key because in photopea, the way it works is we got to hold down the Shift key when we resize so that it keeps its aspect ratio. Again, doing this online is a little bit glitchy, but we're getting there. There we go. And I'll go ahead and get in the place where I can start working on it. Now again, if you don't see the transformation controls, right, when you're on Move here, right, just remember to click on Transformation Controls up here, and then that box will pop up. Now, of course, we want Max on top because he's going to be on the surfboard, so we'll flip them around. And, you know, let's say I shrink Max down, roughly the right size to be on the surfboard. Oh. Of course, I'm going to hold down on that Shift key so he keeps the right aspect ratio, doesn't get all squished or bloated or anything. Come on, there we go. Now it's great, except for there's a surfer there, right? So we want to go ahead and get rid of that surfer. So I'm going to move Max back out of the way here for a second. And we're going to learn about a new tool here. So this new tool is called the Clone Stamp tool. So let me zoom in here on our surfer. Remember to zoom in, I'm just holding down the Alt key and scrolling up with my mouse. You can also hit Control plus or Control minus. So what we're going to use to get rid of the surfer here is called the Clone Stamp tool. So it's right here. It's kind of in the middle. There you go. Right in the middle, looks like a little stamp. And yep, there it is, Clone Stamp tool. And it is actually, so it is a brush. So we just learned about the paintbrush tool, right? So it has all those options. We can kind of adjust the size of it. We can also adjust the hardness of it, how soft the edges are. So I'm actually going to bring my edges down a little bit to like 80%. And the way it works is when I hold down the Alt key, it gives me this little crosshair. That crosshair says, it tells the computer where I want to copy from. So if I click here, it tells the computer I want to copy right where I put that crosshair. So I choose where I want the crosshair, and I click once with my mouse. And I let go with Alt, and then I can move over and copy. But I just realized I'm on Max's layer, so this isn't going to delete the surfer, right? So I need to go ahead and make sure I'm on the surf layer. So I'm actually going to go in here and rename this layer. Is it going to let me? There we go. If I double click there, I'm going to go ahead and rename it and call it Max. So I know that's Max's layer. All right, and then I'm going to go back to the surf layer here. And now I'm going to go ahead and hold down the Alt key and pick a spot to copy from. And then now you can see my cursor just turned into kind of that image. And then, so I hold down the Alt key, click once, and then let go of the Alt key, and then move my paintbrush over to where I want to paint. And now when I click in Paints, it says it must be rasterized first. So let's go ahead and hit OK and rasterize it. Now I should be able to click in Paint. So now when I click in Paint, you'll notice there's circles where I'm painting to, and that crosshair shows up. That crosshair is where I'm painting from. All right? And so I can go ahead and come in here and start erasing the surfer. But you notice I went too far, right? What happens? Well, now it's copying the arm that was there. So the key to this tool is really, so Control Z to undo that, is you got to just kind of do a little bit at a time. So I'm going to click a spot and make a copy, right? And then click another spot, make a copy, right? And I'm just going to keep doing this and slowly get rid of him, right? I go out here, get the water, and copy some of that over to get rid of him. And yeah, just going to keep picking different spots and brushing it in here until we can completely eliminate him. It does take a little bit of work, some practice to kind of get good at this. So, all right, there we go. The surfboard's kind of going to be tricky here in a second. It's going to take you a little bit of work to kind of practice getting rid of that. Let's bring in some more of the white water here to kind of cover this up. All right, there we go. And let's go ahead and get rid of his feet here. It's going to be kind of tricky. Let's see, get that right there. There we go. All right, so now that I've gotten rid of him using the clone stamp tool, we can go ahead and go back to Max, and we'll move Max back over here. So let me click on Max, and we'll move him back down here. Now remember, we could also give him maybe a little bit of a rotation, make it look like he's on there, shrink him, resize him. Of course, in photopea, I got to remember I got to hold down that Shift key or else it distorts. All right. I'm sure there's probably a setting over here I could change so it stops doing that, but there we go. We got him on the surfboard. I'll hit OK. And the last thing we want to do is go ahead and add some text here. So we got Max on the surfboard. He's going to say, I don't know, surf's up, dude, or something. All right. So I'll go ahead and use the text tool. Surf's up, dude. And of course, it's super tiny, so I'm going to go ahead and highlight it here, increase the size. Probably even change the color, so I'm going to go ahead and click on the color here. And I'm going to go ahead and pick a color off the surfboard here because it looks nice. Nice blue color, hit OK. And let's choose a font here. What kind of font do we want? Of course, it's kind of slow in photopea. That's an interesting font. Whatever, we'll go with it. All right, surf's up, dude. And let's move it over here. I don't know if you can read that. Let's put that. Surf's up. How about that? Yeah, I don't know. I don't like that font. Let's pick a different font. That'll work. Kind of Star Wars-y, but oh well. All right. So surf's up, dude. And we'll put it up here. And lastly, we want to add a layer style to it, so a little bit of drop shadow so it stands out from the background. So I'll double click on the text layer, and I might even add a little bit of a bevel and emboss to it. So it got kind of that 3D look to it. Ooh, maybe not too much, but a little bit. And then add a little bit of a drop shadow here. And let's adjust it so the way I like it. There we go. less distance, more angle. All right, right there. It should look pretty good. And let's see if we get off everything. There we go. Oh, no, we're still on max. Just turn off the transformation control so we can see. So there we go. It looks pretty good, right? It looks like Max is surfing. It says surf's up, dude. And that's pretty much it. Again, I probably could have feathered this a little bit, used a little bit softer brush. Worked on that maybe just a little bit, but still it looks decent, right? It looks like Max is surfing here. I might move him back there like that. There we go. All right, and so now all I need to do is file, export as a JPEG, and go ahead and turn it in. Again, make sure you turn it in pretty high quality, so 70, 80, 90%, something like that. Some of you guys have been turning in stuff that's really low quality. It's hard to see in Schoology. So make sure you turn it in as at least 80, 90% quality. And that's it. All right, good luck, have fun.